We've looked at one-point perspective in order to show shapes that can be converted into forms. I want to show you another way that you can take shapes and convert them into forms by not using any particular perspective, but just using some drawing skills. First of all, I'm going to place my thumb down here, and I'm going to make a dot on either side of my thumb. Then I'm going to make a dot on either side of my two fingers so that I have a diamond shape created with those dots. They can be a diamond shape like that, or it can be a diamond shape that's even wider apart. And you can get to the point where you're not necessarily using your fingers to do this, but to just eyeball it. Now, as long as you keep these shapes or these lines parallel, you can make them in any configuration you want. In other words, you can keep them straight, more or less. And as long as you parallel these lines and parallel these lines, you can create that shape in 3 dimensions. Or you can simply take this and curve the lines and keep them parallel to one another. And as you can see here, create an entirely new shape that comes into this shape. Now, if you plan it correctly, you can go ahead and you can have this shape here end up in this way, and this shape end up in this way, so that those two shapes, once you color them or erase the lines and so forth with your pencil, you can do that easily and create one shape going into and through another shape. The round form I talked about already as an ellipse, and as an ellipse you can use the same idea. Let's say we start with an ellipse over here, and again, if we simply go straight, we end up with a tube that is this shape, or this line here and this line here being parallel, and these two lines being parallel. But then again, if we want to start with an ellipse in any direction we want, we can simply make this line move, and if we want that to taper, we can have it taper. And as long as we make these lines parallel, this line here and this line here parallel to one another, it can indicate the other end of this form. Now, if we want this to go inside of something, we can simply draw lines around it because they're going to be hidden, and we can draw lines on the other side of it, and then continue the line on through that form. This form can be either square or round, and we can interject, we can have these lines going into that kind of a form. We could have another form coming in here. We can draw our long lines first if we want, and we can have these lines coming even closer together, indicating more of a tapered circle, like a cone of some sort. And again, if this line continues on through, it will just continue on through. In this case, it will come out of the top of this and flow around, and can continue to wind itself around. Once your forms are all completed, then you can of course come in here and you can decide upon a light source. For example, you could have a light source coming from here, and you could shade these into realistic containers if you want to do that. You can shade each one of these just using your line and ink or your ebony pencil. Or you can come in here with your watercolor or your marker, and you can color these all in whatever colors you want to use. So that would be another possibility with this abstract shape assignment.